Okay, so let's dive into AI this week. I mean, we get some pretty fascinating developments. Just yesterday, President Trump, he is back in the White House, standing with those tech giants
Mm,
like OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank.
mm.
And they were announcing Stargate, this $500 billion project all about building massive AI infrastructure. And I'm talking data centers, power grids, the whole nine yards.
Yeah, it was quite a show, wasn't it? I mean, a huge investment like that, the sense of urgency,
Yeah,
you know.
that classic Trumpian flair.
Oh, it's definitely a power move.
But here's where it gets really interesting. While everyone was focused on Stargate, there's this smaller company called Versus AI. They just quietly dropped some bombshell results over at Davos. Their genius AI platform had just crushed the competition in the Atari 10K challenge. And it's got everyone talking.
Yeah, this wasn't just like, that was a marginal victory. We were talking.
Mm.
Potential paradigm shift in AI here. I mean, genius. It achieved human-level performance and even perfect play in some games, and all while using way less data, less training time, and less computing power.
Compared to like all the leading AI algorithms out there.
Yeah.
Including, those massive language models everyone's going crazy about.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit first. We've got Stargate, this
Yeah.
massive $500 billion investment in traditional AI infrastructure, primarily focused on large language models, or LLMs, as I guess the cool kids call them.
Yeah, and after. It's important to note that,
Right.
even though the announcement was made with President Trump, the origins of Stargate actually go back to the Biden administration. There were already these plans in place for massive data center buildouts, and it seems like those plans are now being supercharged with this new investment. All right, so it's not like a totally new thing, but the scale and the framing are definitely noteworthy. Trump was really emphasizing job creation, potential benefits to healthcare, and keeping AI development here in the U.S., framing it as this competition with China.
Yeah, classic talking points. But what I find really fascinating is that this announcement came just as Versus AI revealed its groundbreaking results. And these results, they really raise some serious questions about whether Stargate is backing the right horse here.
Okay, so let's talk about Versus AI and this Atari 10K challenge. For those of us who aren't like AI experts, what's the significance of this?
Well, the Atari 10K challenge, it's designed to test an AI's ability to learn and adapt with limited data. Kind of similar to how we humans learn. It's a really crucial test of efficiency and generalization. Because you see, traditional AI models, especially LLMs, they're notoriously data hungry and computationally expensive.
So Versus AI's genius platform, it's basically doing more with less.
Exactly. And by less, I mean uses 90% less data, achieving 96% faster training times,
Right.
and having a model size that's 96% smaller compared to all the leading AI algorithms out there. I mean, this is a total game changer.
Whoa, those are some incredible numbers. So while Stargate is all about building these massive data centers and pouring tons of resources into LLMs, Versus AI is taking a totally different approach.
Yes. They are focusing on what's called active inference AI. It's based on the principles of biological intelligence. Think about how you learn and adapt to the world. Your brain is constantly making these predictions, testing them against reality, and adjusting its model accordingly.
So instead of just like brute forcing AI with massive amounts of data, Versus AI is trying to make it learn more like we do.
Precisely. And their success in the Atari 10K challenge really suggests that this approach might be far more efficient and scalable than all these traditional AI methods out there, especially when you're talking about real-world applications.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. We've got this massive $500 billion investment in traditional AI infrastructure, announced with all the fanfare of a presidential press conference. And at the same time, you have this relatively small company, Versus AI, valued at under $300 million, demonstrating what could be a superior approach to AI.
Yeah, it really is. It's this fascinating juxtaposition, and it raises some really important questions about, the future of AI
Right.
and the potential for disruption here. Could Stargate, with all its resources and political backing, become a cautionary tale?
A cautionary tale, you mean like a massive investment that basically becomes obsolete before it even gets off the ground?
Exactly. There's actually a term for this: stranded assets.
So
Like think about all those coal-fired power plants that are being shut down. As the world shifts to renewable energy, those represent massive investments that are just rapidly losing value due to this disruptive technological change.
So you're saying that Stargate could basically become the AI equivalent of a stranded coal plant.
Yeah.
That all those billions could be wasted. Versus AI's approach really does turn out to be the future of AI.
Yeah, It's a possibility worth considering, especially when you factor in the potential economic implications. I mean, if versus AI's approach is truly scalable and efficient, it could drastically reduce the need for these massive data centers and all the associated costs of energy and infrastructure.
That would be a huge shakeup for the whole tech industry.
Absolutely. And it's not even just about the technology itself. It's about the underlying philosophy
Yeah.
of AI development.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's dive deeper into this. What exactly makes active inference AI so different? And why should we be paying attention? Like, what makes it so efficient? And what are the broader implications of this potential shift?
Well, to really understand that, we need to kind of delve into the limitations of traditional AI models, especially LLMs, and how active inference offers this, like, fundamentally different way of thinking about artificial intelligence.
Let's do it. After all, that's what deep dives are all about, right? Unpacking complex topics, exploring the nuances.
Precisely. And I think you'll find this particular deep dive to be quite illuminating.
So we left off talking about, stranded assets
Yeah.
and how Stargate could potentially become like, a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Versus AI's approach to AI really takes off.
Yeah, it is a thought-provoking concept, isn't it? This idea of seeing, such a massive investment potentially just dwarfed by this much smaller company with a fundamentally different approach.
Yeah, it really highlights just how quickly things can change in the tech world.
Absolutely. And it also kind of underscores the importance of understanding the underlying principles of a technology and not just, getting caught up in the hype surrounding it.
Right, okay. So let's dig into those underlying principles then. You mentioned that active inference AI is based on biological intelligence.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean in practice? Like, how does it actually work?
Well, think about how you navigate the world. You're constantly making these predictions about what's going to happen next based on, like, your past experiences.
Yeah.
And your understanding of the environment.
So, like, when I'm crossing the street,
Yeah.
I'm predicting that cars are going to stop at the red light.
Right. Exactly. And if a car doesn't stop, that creates like a surprise, a violation of your prediction.
Yeah.
And your brain uses that surprise to update its model of how the world works.
So, like, I learn
Yeah.
that not all cars follow the rules.
Right.
And then I adjust my behavior accordingly.
Precisely. And that's really the essence of active inference. It's this continuous cycle of predicting, acting, sensing, and updating. It's all about minimizing surprise and maximizing adaptability.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do you translate that into an AI system? Like, how do you actually teach a machine to minimize surprise?
Well, it involves creating a mathematical model that represents the AI's understanding of the world. And this model is used to generate predictions. And those predictions are compared to the actual sensory data the AI is receiving. And any discrepancies between, like, the predictions and the data create what we call surprise, which is then used to refine the model.
So it's kind of like a feedback loop where the AI is constantly learning and adapting.
Yeah.
Based on its interactions with the environment.
Exactly. And that's what makes active inference so powerful. It allows these AI systems to operate in these complex dynamic environments without needing, like, massive amounts of pre-programmed data.
Which is a huge contrast to those large language models that need mountains of data to function.
Indeed. And that difference in approach, it has some pretty significant implications, especially when you consider, like, real-world applications of AI.
Okay, let's talk about those implications then. You mentioned that active inference could be like a game changer in areas like healthcare, smart cities, even self-driving cars. Why is that?
Well, imagine a self-driving car that relies solely on, like, pre-programmed rules and data. It would really struggle to handle any kind of unexpected situations, like a sudden detour or a child running into the street.
It'd be like driving with blinders on.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. But a self-driving car powered by active inference would be constantly predicting, what other cars are going to do, what pedestrians are going to do, even what weather conditions might do next. And it'd be able to adjust its course in real time based on a much richer understanding of the environment.
So it'd be more like a human driver, anticipating and reacting to the unexpected.
Precisely. And that's why active inference is seen as, like, this key to unlocking truly safe and reliable autonomous systems.
That's fascinating. And what about healthcare? How could active inference revolutionize that field?
So imagine medical devices that can monitor patients in real time, analyze their data, and adjust treatment plans based on their individual needs.
So instead of like this one-size-fits-all approach, we could have personalized medicine tailored to each patient.
Exactly. Active inference AI could help doctors personalize those treatment plans, predict potential complications, even develop new therapies based on a deeper understanding of individual patients' conditions.
Right. That's incredible. It sounds like active inference AI could have, like a transformative impact
Yep.
on so many industries.
It definitely has the potential. And what's even more exciting is that active inference AI is inherently more explainable than traditional AI because its decision-making processes are based on minimizing surprise. We can actually understand why it's making certain choices.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Especially with all the concerns
Okay.
about AI becoming like this black box that we can't control.
Absolutely. Transparency and trust are absolutely essential if we want AI to truly benefit society. And active inference really offers this pathway to developing AI systems that are not only powerful, but also understandable and accountable.
Okay, so active inference AI has all these potential advantages, but are there any downsides? Is there anything holding it back from like widespread adoption?
Well, as with any emerging technology, there are definitely challenges. One is like the need for more sophisticated mathematical models that can accurately represent, complex real-world environments. And another is the computational power required to run these models in real time.
So while first versus AI's Genius platform has shown these really impressive results in a controlled setting, like the Atari 10K challenge, scaling that up to real-world applications could be tricky.
Yeah, it's not trivial.
Yeah.
But it's not insurmountable either. I mean, the field of active inference is rapidly evolving, and we're seeing significant advances in both like the underlying theory and the computational tools available.
It's like that classic saying, constraints breed creativity. Maybe the limitations of active inference will actually drive even greater innovation in the field.
Yeah, I think that's a very astute observation. Often it's the challenges that really push us to come up with, the most creative solutions.
So where do you see the field of active inference heading
Hmm.
in the next few years? What are some of the key areas to watch?
One area I'm particularly excited about is the development of embodied AI. This involves creating AI systems that actually have physical bodies and can interact directly with the world.
Like robots.
Exactly, but not just any robots that can learn and adapt like humans do, using active inference to navigate complex environments and solve real-world problems. Imagine robots that can assist with tasks like disaster relief, elder care, even space exploration.
That sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
Yeah, it might sound futuristic, but it's closer than you think. We're already seeing some pretty impressive progress in robotics labs around the world, and active inference is playing a key role in enabling this next generation of intelligent machines.
Okay, so we've got all these potential benefits, but what about the potential risk? I mean, we've all seen those sci-fi movies where the robots take over the world. Is there a chance that like active inference AI could lead to something like that?
Well, it's definitely important to acknowledge the potential risks of any powerful technology. And AI is no exception, however. I think it's important to distinguish between science fiction and reality.
So you're not losing sleep over a robot uprising anytime soon?
Not at all. I believe that, the best way to mitigate the risks of AI is to develop it responsibly, with transparency and, a focus on human well-being. And active inference, with its emphasis on explainability and alignment with human values, offers a very promising pathway to achieving that goal.
Okay, that's reassuring. So as we kind of wrap up this discussion of active inference, what's the key takeaway for our listeners? What's the one thing they should remember about this approach to AI?
I think the key takeaway is this. Active inference represents a fundamentally different way of thinking about artificial intelligence. It's not just about, processing data. It's about understanding the world, making predictions, and adapting to change. It's about creating AI systems that are not only intelligent, and also efficient, explainable, and aligned with human values.
And potentially capable of disrupting the entire AI industry.
Precisely. The rise of active inference, it challenges us to rethink our assumptions about what AI can achieve and how it should be developed. It opens up this whole world of possibilities. But it also raises some pretty profound questions about, the future of technology and its impact on society.
Questions that we'll continue to explore in the next part of our deep dive. We'll shift gears a bit and take a closer look at the implications of active inference for the big players in the AI world. Those who have invested heavily in traditional approaches. Are they ready for this potential disruption? Stay tuned to find out.
So we've spent some time exploring the potential of active inference AI and how it's really different from those traditional approaches like, those massive language models.
Yeah, and we've kind of been debating whether this emerging technology could really disrupt the AI landscape, and potentially even leave those giants like OpenAI and Oracle with,
I
stranded assets.
like there's this David and Goliath story, but this time,
And Abe might actually have like a supercomputer in his sling.
yeah, very apt analogy. I think what's fascinating to consider here is how those established players in AI are going to react to this challenge. Will they embrace this new paradigm, or are they just going to like double down on their existing investment?
Well, I mean, they can't just ignore it, can they? Versus AI's results at Davos. They were pretty impressive to brush aside.
And the buzz around active inference, it's only going to get louder. But you got to remember, these big companies, they have vast resources and some very talented engineers. They're not going to just surrender.
So what are their options? How can they adapt to this like evolving landscape?
Well, one possibility is they could acquire companies like Versus AI, bring that expertise in-house, bring that innovation in-house. It's a pretty classic move in the tech world. If you can't beat them, buy them.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But wouldn't that be like an admission that their current approach is falling behind?
Maybe. But it could also be seen as like a strategic pivot, a recognition that the future of AI is headed in a different direction.
Interesting. So they could just buy their way into the active inference game. What else could they do?
Another option is to invest heavily in research and development. Try to catch up with the advances being made in active inference. They could leverage their existing infrastructure and data to explore new algorithms and applications.
It's a little bit like trying to turn a battleship around, though, isn't it? Those big companies, they're built for scale, not necessarily agility.
That's true. Their size can be both an advantage and a disadvantage. They definitely have the resources to pour into research, but they might struggle to adapt as quickly as some of these smaller, more nimble players. Like Versus AI.
Like a race against time.
In a sense, the AI landscape, it's evolving at an incredible pace. And those who can't keep up risk being left behind.
It's kind of exciting, though, isn't it? This sense of uncertainty and, potential for disruption. Feels like we're witnessing a pivotal moment in the history of AI.
I agree. We're at a crossroads. And the choices made in the next few years are really going to have a profound impact on the trajectory of this technology.
So what do you think? Will these giants of the AI world be able to adapt to the rise of active inference? Or will we see a whole new generation of companies emerge as the leaders in this field?
It's tough to say for sure, but I think the next few years are going to be incredibly transformative for the AI industry. We may see new partnerships, acquisitions, maybe even the emergence of entirely new business models.
And maybe even a shift in focus from like brute force scale to a more nuanced, biologically inspired approach to AI.
Precisely. Active inference is really challenging us to think differently about, how we create and how we interact with these intelligent systems. It offers this vision of AI that's not only powerful, but also aligned with human values and goals.
It's a vision that's both inspiring and a little bit daunting, isn't it?
It is. But I believe that by embracing the principles of active inference and working together to develop this technology responsibly, we can create a future where AI benefits all of humanity.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. It's been quite a journey, exploring the potential of active inference and the potential disruption it brings.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, keep engaging. With this transformative technology, the future of AI, it's not predetermined. It's a story that we're all writing together. So stay curious, stay informed, and choose your words wisely.